Today in Matt's class, we are going to talk about how to do a monotone drawing with black and white color pencils. Monotone drawings with black and white color pencils. So this is an awesome technique where you are using toned paper and then you're using black and white color pencils to draw in all of your dark shadows and your highlights, and it's a really cool effect. It's actually really easy to do, and you can work very quickly. In some cases, you can also add in black and white paint. Like this one, I didn't add in actual paint, but I added in some black washes and some light washes just to make it look a little bit more rendered, so it's almost like a monotone painting. But then I have examples like this, where this is straight up black and white color pencils is what's happening here. And it's really cool because really what people are looking at, they are looking at the tone of the paper, they're looking at shadows that are shaded in dark, and then you can take a white color pencil, in addition to adding in the highlights, you also can put in like all this really cool crazy detail. And it's just really cool to go back and forth between what you're drawing with a black color pencil and what you're drawing with a white color pencil. So the kind of paper that I love to use is this Artigan Assorted Tints paper by Strathmore, and it comes with all these really cool earth tones. So this is kind of like a pink tone here, obviously, and this is Scarlet Joe. This one right here is a little bit more rendered out. This is Chenda from Aladdin 3477 from the Hong Kong marketplace. She's someone that kind of tells Aladdin a little bit about the jinns. This is kind of spoiler territory. This piece right here, Padme Amidala from Revenge of the Sith. Here is Oscar Isaac. This is Mary from Lord of the Rings. It's also Charlie from Lost. So when you are looking at a lot of these samples, like this one right here, this is a piece that I did of Morgan Freeman, and a lot of what makes this look great, I mean, I'd like to take credit for it, that yes, it was my awesome rendering on here that makes it look good, but to be fair, I had really good reference to work from that had really good lighting. And when you've got great lighting to work from, it just makes your job that much easier. So if you haven't seen it yet, I have this great video on the best kind of photographic reference you can use to make your illustration awesome. If you haven't seen that video yet, you definitely need to check it out, because that is really going to up your game. If you're not using good photographic reference, you're never going to be able to make a drawing that looks really great and has that awesome contrast if the photos that you're looking at don't have that great contrast to begin with. When you've got that awesome contrast, it makes it that much easier to pull out something. Hopefully you think this is awesome. This is something I'm still proud of. I think this looks sweet, but it's the lighting. Lighting is where it's at. Alecguinness. Do you know if you take the letters in Alecguinness's name, Alecguinness is the actor who played Obi-Wan Kenobi originally, if you take the letters in his name and you rearrange the letters, it spells genuine class. So this right here, this is your Artigan Assorted Tints. This is the pad. This is what it looks like. On the inside, you have all of these different kind of colors and tints that you can work with, which is really fun. There's only one color that I don't want you guys to work with that doesn't really work well for this technique, and that is this. In the beginning, there's this really weird pale yellow color. It's kind of an off-white. This is a really weird tint to work with, because if you ever try drawing on this with a color pencil, in fact, let's draw on this with a color pencil. If I draw in here, do you see that? I mean, you can barely see that, right? And I was drawing with a color pencil on here. This pale yellow is so light that you can't really see the highlights, so it doesn't really work as a good middle ground. So that's the only color that I think is personally is crap and that you shouldn't bother using in your Artigan pad, because it doesn't do anything. You can barely see it, if you can see it at all. Where the rest of these, some of them are a little bit lighter, some of them are a little bit darker, but all of them are just a really good medium tone, where when you add in the highlights, you're definitely going to see them, and when you add in the shadows, you're definitely going to see those. Here is the reference right here, but there's a couple things I want to talk about first before diving in. So the first thing that you want to do, you want to sharpen your Prismacolor pencils. You want to have them very sharp. not sharp like this. This is not sharp. This is like a little TP going up right here. This is not sharp because if you stick someone with this, this doesn't hurt. This is like an eyebrow pencil, like for eyeliner or something like that. This isn't very sharp. The problem is you've got the tooth of the paper, which has a slight texture to it. So if you've got a dull pencil or a pencil that isn't very sharp, it's not going to get into the tooth of the paper. So what you want to do, you want to use a pencil sharpener that is very sharp like this. Now if you look at that, that is really sharp. If I threw this at your arm, or watch this, would you want to hear James say ow? Listen to this. Ah! Yeah! Right? So it hurts when you stick it in like that, and it's wax, and it doesn't mix into the bloodstream very well. Sorry about that, James.
It wasn't in my contract.
So here you can kind of see nice and sharp, not very sharp. Art stores will give you these for free. They'll give you this little, this is for eyebrow pencils, but the problem is when you use this and you grind your pencil, you just get this little TP, and it just doesn't sharpen your pencil very well. So you want to make sure whatever sharpener you're using gives you this nice long ninja dart for what you are drawing. They say for any good illustration, you only need 5 values. So it's always funny to me, a lot of times in art classes, you go through this routine where they'll give you a white sheet of paper and you have to draw like 13 boxes or 20 boxes. And the first box you leave white, and the last box you make as dark as you can, and then you have to do values all in between. So what you end up doing, the first box you leave the white of the paper, the next box shade a little bit, next one a little bit more, next one a little bit more. Finally, when you get to the last one, you're like carving in your pencil as dark as you can, and that is a value scale. You really only need 5 values in order to produce a good illustration. Here's what's great about working with this Artigan paper. I'm going to put together 5 values. What we're going to do, we're going to have it be the darkest over here, nice and dark. Then I'm going to do absolute white over here, as light as I can get it. Now, here's the cool thing. The middle tone is just going to stay the tone of the paper. So step number 4, we're going to shade in just a little bit, and we want to try to find a tone that's a nice jump from here to here and then from here to here. Right now it looks like there's still kind of a jump from here to here. So maybe I can shade that just a little bit darker. We've got one more step, and this is number 2. So we want to find a nice halfway point between this absolute white here and this right here. It looks like this can still go a little bit lighter. So we want to have an even jump from here to here and from here to here. That's actually looking pretty good. Inevitably, when you are doing your light and shadow on your Artigan paper, you're going to have areas that transition from highlight or from strong light to shadow. The big mistake that students make when they're using their Artigan paper, what they'll do is they'll shade an area that's light, and as it gets darker and darker, they just kind of shade it in over like that, and then okay, it gets darker here. So then what they'll do is they'll shade in over here, and then they'll try to mix it in. That actually didn't work very well. So then they try to mix back, and it just, that's a really weird gray. And it kind of transitions, but not really, because there's a huge jump right here, and then it just doesn't work very well. It's really unpredictable, and that's not the way you want to use this paper. What you want to do, you would want to do a nice transition, kind of doing what you did with this grid here. So the correct way to do it would be to start over here, have absolute white, and then transition into the paper. Then, from the paper, transition into darkness like so. So do you see how nice that is, going from white into the paper into darkness here? It's a nice smooth transition. You don't want to mix your black and white color pencil in order to do that. You definitely want to save the tone of the paper for those middle grounds. And if you can keep that in mind, you are good to go. And we're going to get started on our drawing. There really is no rule for doing your monotone drawing with your black and white color pencils. I've seen some students where they like to go back and forth, a little bit of black color pencil, and then they go in with the white color pencil, and they're constantly going back and forth. and that's okay. And this is just me being OCD, I like doing everything with black color pencil first. I like just getting in those darks. I like defining everything. And then to me, the fun part is kind of adding in those highlights, and it just really starts to sing. It really starts to add in that awesome contrast. And I just feel that's what, like, really when the piece comes together. So I like to save that for the end. It's almost like the icing on top of the cake. So I'm gonna get started on this drawing right here, and I'm going to draw it with my black color pencil. Let's do it. Did you enjoy class today? If so, give me a like. If there's something you'd like to see me cover in a future video, let me know what that is in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I've also got a video series called Sketchbook Challenge that helps your drawing, creativity, and fill up an awesome looking sketchbook. Plus, there are videos on You Can Draw Star Wars, Hollywood is Dead, and sneak peeks at the Aladdin 3477 Motion Picture Trilogy. In order to not miss any new videos, hit that notification bell. Sharing is caring, and it's great to inspire your friends. Share this video on social media and your friends will share awesome art tips they find with you. If you're on Instagram, you can follow me at Matt_Busch_Instagram. I'll see you back in the classroom soon. Don't be tardy.